everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe show. I'm Joe. It's Olaf. Jeremy couldn't make it this week. He's caught in a puddle in summer. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today, so no time for me to waste time, but I'll probably do it anyway. We saw a couple movies. I saw Exodus: Gods and Kings. We saw The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies, and so we're just gonna jump into that. I saw these movies back to back in the same night, so I was really tired by the time The Hobbit came along. So that's why I'm gonna have him give his thoughts first, but I'm gonna give Exodus first. And then we'll go from there. Exodus: Gods and Kings was obviously the retelling of the story of Exodus, well, part of Exodus in the Bible with Moses, and you know how it went. All right, so forget me explaining it. Even if you're not Catholic, I'm pretty sure you know the story of Moses. So it's basically what it was. Starring Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton. I want to start with by saying that the whole whitewashing of the cast was not an issue in this film at all. Ramses being played by Joel Edgerton was not a bad thing. The only bad casting was John Turturro as their father, because he came on screen and I was just like, is that John Turturro? Like, it just took you completely out of the movie. And like every time he came on the screen, like I was on the verge of laughing because it just didn't seem it was so wrong. And Sigourney Weaver was in the movie basically to just be like, remember when I was in a Ridley Scott movie that was good? That was it. That was the only reason she was there. So yeah, this movie was it was mishandled, to say the least. I believe that Ridley Scott really focused on getting the epicness of the visuals of and the massive Egypt. I mean, that was great. That was really well done. The plagues were really well done. They were horrific. So everything visually, I mean, it was epic and it was great. But that does it for some people, and it just doesn't do it for me. A lot of other things lacked. The handling of God was atrocious. I mean, he was a child, and he was not only a child. He was just like a whiny. Man. Like, I can't say the words. The only way I know how to describe it. He was a whiny dick measuring child, and it was just, it was weird. It just seemed like the movie had no direction. That being said, I thought that Christian Bale was really good as Moses, and it was a shame that his performance was actually, it was wasted. Like I said, Joel Edgerton was good as Ramses. I thought some of the performances were good, but ultimately it was too long. The story was mishandled, and it just didn't keep you. It just didn't keep you interested at all. Which led me to be pretty tired entering The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies. That, and it was 11:10. Started at 11:10, and
they were both like 2.5-hour movies.
Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna have Jeremy give his thoughts. I will see, and I will base it off that. I was kind of, I never dozed, but like I kind of like I kept doing that throughout the movie, and I was just like, just give me a second. No, wake up, Joe. And so, I want to have Jeremy give his thoughts on the Battle of the Five Armies.
Okay, well, The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies is the conclusion of the 3-part Hobbit saga, which, really should not have been 3 parts. Let's just go ahead and say that. The book didn't really have enough material in it for 3 whole movies, but that's the route they decided to go. I enjoyed Battle of the Five Armies. I think it fell into a lot of the same problems that the first 2 had. There were times it definitely felt stretched and bloated, and they were just drawing certain scenes and certain things out longer than they needed to. A lot of the CGI, I mean, there was just too much. Legolas is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's one thing to be a badass; it's another to just be like cartoonish. And he was. There's one scene in particular that's just like, it really just took me out of the movie. And this is a movie with like dwarves and orcs and magic and all these other things, and that scene was just too ridiculous for me.
Running up the falling stones. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spoiler.
How is that a spoiler? Running up the falling stones. Like, oh, you've ruined the movie for me. You've ruined it. No.
They're gonna know it's coming now. They're not gonna be, they're not gonna be surprised by the ridiculousness. They can brace themselves.
Well, sorry everyone. My bad. My bad.
Also, Legolas lives. Oh my god.
Yeah, way to go. That's much more of a spoiler.
Anyway, it also felt like it was, and this is kind of your point that I'm stealing. It went out of its way to be like, hey, remember Lord of the Rings? Like, we're gonna bridge the gap to Fellowship of the Ring, and so they like went out of their way to like mention all these little things and bring it in. I mean, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it felt like at times it felt a little forced. Altogether, though, I did enjoy the movie. There were a lot of good things to take away from it. There was, for people who complained about the first 2 movies, especially the first one being, light on action, Battle of the Five Armies, what you might expect from a title like that, is not light on action. There's lots of fighting, lots of battles, lots of action. There's some pretty good payoff on things, again, spoiler, the dwarves, reclaim their city, and that's good stuff. They have climactic battles against those orc leaders, and those are cool. So, I mean, altogether, I think it's a pretty decent finish for the franchise.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think I should at least say that like it's not Return of the King, and I think that's what it was. Shown to be in the trailer. It was like, oh, this is going to be as good as Return of the King. It was not. That being said, like you said, it had a lot of good battles, a lot of fighting, and it was it was great in that sense. Smaug was cool. I just thought that they could have used more of him speaking. And I thought they were actually going to go through that whole scene without him talking.
I thought so too.
And I'm just like, no, that's not who Smaug is. So Smaug is like going to beat you up, and then he's going to be like, ah, ha, 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 I'm bigger than you. He's going to like shove it in your face, and that's the beauty of Smaug, and that's why he's cool. And you saw that in the Desolation of Smaug when he was just toying with Bilbo forever until Bilbo actually got to toy with him. So I mean, I thought that was a cool opening. I thought that the fighting was great. I feel like it. Yes, like you said, it was a little too like watch the other trilogy. It's just like but I mean that's okay. It had the same issue as Return of the King in the fact that it wouldn't end. Maybe that was because it was like 2 a.m. and like I was really tired and I was just like, okay, I know it's ending, but so just end. But I mean it was good. It was very good. But I wouldn't put it as epically great a conclusion as Return of the King. So, I mean, I don't go in thinking that. Obviously, you shouldn't, because this is the lesser of the trilogies, obviously. But I think ultimately, it was it was a solid trilogy that was obviously a little bloated. They maybe they should have done like 2 movies to handle it, and maybe that would have been better, or maybe that still would have felt bloated. I don't know.
I think 2 could have worked. Like 2.5 hour movies.
Right.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, ultimately a solid trilogy. I'm happy they made it. I think there were some good performances in it, and I really don't think it was a waste. So way to go, Hobbit trilogy. But you're still not as good as Lord of the Rings. As much as I hate Frodo.
Bilbo was much better than Frodo.
Bilbo, yes, Bilbo was he was a great character. Martin Freeman, fantastic.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he is great and everything, but like he absolutely killed it as Bilbo, and it was nice to have a Hobbit that was not like really annoying and like I was actually I didn't read the book, so like I didn't know. I was waiting for like Bilbo to just be really annoying at some point because I felt like that was his role, but he never was. And he was a great character. Again, fantastically acted. So yeah, that's Battle of Five Armies. Go see it. It's a fun film. Not the greatest film ever, but it's a fun film.
Yes.
Now, now we we move on to last week's box office, which was I guess pretty uneventful. But hey, let's do it. Let's talk about it.
All right, 5th place was Big Hero 6. That was down 25% to 6.1 million. Total of 185.2. As I've been saying for weeks, probably headed toward a total of about 205, 210. 4th place was Top 5. That was 6.9 million. Considering it was in fewer than 1,000 theaters, that's a pretty good opening. I don't think this is going to have any expansions. Maybe it will. I don't know, but that is a pretty solid opening. 3rd went to Penguins of Madagascar. That was down 34% to 7.2. Total of 58.7 million, and that still is not as good as the opening weekends alone of some of the Madagascar movies. So this movie is just a failure. I mean, it'll probably do pretty well overseas and maybe get bailed out, but I mean, it's disappointing regardless. Number 2 was Mockingjay Part 1. That was down 42% to 12.7 million. Total of 276.8. Looking at where it is and its trajectory, Guardians is like 99% sure that Guardians of the Galaxy, that is going to win the year. Mockingjay, best case scenario, will end up around like 315, which is still really good. And to have 3 movies in a franchise get over 300 million is still really impressive. But maybe the Hunger Games just set the bar too high. I don't know. Our number 1 film was Exodus: Gods and Kings, and that opened to 24.1 million. That's not good. There's really no way to spin that. The budget on it's 140 million. You look at Noah from earlier in this year, that opened over 40. I mean, even looking at something like Son of God, that opened to higher. So, I mean, for a big budget Hollywood movie with recognizable actors, Ridley Scott is director. That's just bad. A movie like this really ought to be opening to at least 35. But maybe people just got burnt out on religious Christian movies this year. Maybe they're starting to realize that Ridley Scott isn't that good of a director, and he just got lucky on 2 movies. The terrible reviews might have been a factor, but yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, Exodus wasn't. It just wasn't good. I mean, let's just face it. And when you put it like you just put it, like wow, that's bad. When you're open behind Noah, below Noah and Son of God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad. I mean, I guess you did yourself a disservice by opening in December when there's other things available.
Sure.
But yeah, that's bad. Penguins, poor Penguins. It was a good movie, but falls short. Top 5 has DMX in it. I just found out, so I'm seeing that. Like, I'm going to the nearest theater, wherever it's at. Yeah, so that's the box office. It'll pick up, I assume, right? As we get closer to
sure
Christmas.
hope so.
Yeah, right. Like Christmas should be,
At the same time, I want 2014 to just be over. This year is just terrible.
Terrible for the
And we'll
box
get to
office.
more of that later. But
All right. Now let's move on to the movies that came out this weekend. Well, one is The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, and we already gave our thoughts on that.
Quick touch on the box office of Battle of the Five Armies. Opened on Wednesday, and surprise, surprise for a 2014 movie, has been pretty underwhelming on Wednesday and Thursday. If you want to extrapolate those 2 days out to the 5-day opening, it's looking to maybe be above the 5-day opening of the Fellowship of the Ring. So that's not good. It's over 5 days. Best case scenario, it'll make what an Unexpected Journey made over 3. So doesn't look good.
Yeah, I guess we didn't even bolster it. We went on Wednesday, and we didn't even bolster the box office at all. That's a shame.
Well, we did it for Wednesday.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
We tried.
Not for the weekend.
No. But ultimately it'll be fine. They'll make a lot of money.
Yeah, especially overseas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so ultimately domestically, yeah, no, you're right. It's just funny sometimes when you talk about the box office. It's just like, that's terrible, and it's just like, oh, it made like $800 million worldwide. But anyway, at any rate,
yes,
we've got Annie. Wow, that's getting bad reviews, and I'm not surprised. Don't think we needed another reincarnation of Annie. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I'm not surprised. I'm not. Maybe you can give a box office forecast or something. I don't know. $12
cents.
But
No, I'll say like 16 million.
all right, there you go. I have no thoughts. Do you have thoughts?
Not really. I think you summed it up.
It's just no need. And
We also have Night at the Museum: Secret of the Tomb.
oh god,
I hate this franchise. I saw the first movie in it. I was never, ever closer to walking out on a movie in my life. Hated it. Except during the nuke the fridge moment in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I was halfway out of my seat when that happened. But I hate this franchise. This movie seems pretty unnecessary. It's not going to do as well as the earlier ones. So, maybe 25, 30 million opening.
I don't think the first movie was bad. Thank you for not stabbing me in the throat as soon as I said that. But there was no need for 2 or 3. Is basically my thoughts on it. This is a joke, but it's you've got Rebel Wilson playing like the exact same role that she ever plays in. I don't know why
Playing Rebel Wilson.
Right, exactly. With your silencer and you're gone, and I'm doing this voice and people laugh, and like it's just like, really, is that like the extra thing you're at? So I don't know. Yeah, this movie it doesn't look good. There's no reason for this franchise to continue. There's no reason for this to be a franchise. Period. So, I mean, that's that. The thing that I've heard is that there's a send off to Robin Williams. So, I mean, that's probably nice. But ultimately, no need for the franchise. And